Well, good morning and welcome to you all to the City of Vaughan. It's an honour to be here with some very esteemed parliamentary colleagues who are with us. I want to first recognise Ontario's Premier Doug Ford, who's back in the City of Vaughan, a great champion of this region. I also want to recognise Minister of Transportation Prabmeet Sarkaria. I want to give a shout out to the Member of Provincial Parliament for Thornhill, Laura Smith, Michael Tobolo, the member from Vaughan Woodbridge, Hardeep Grewal, the Parliamentary Assistant to the Ministry of Transportation. I also want to recognise some of our local mayors who are with us today, including our host mayor, the Honourable Steven Del Duca. I want to welcome Barrie Vrbanovic, who's with us from Kitchener, and Alex Nuttall, the mayor from Barrie, and many partners who are with us today. Our priority as a government is keeping families safe, cracking down on the true criminals among us in this province and country. We have invested in new police officers, hundreds of additional police officers on our streets to prevent crime in its tracks. We've invested in new tools to stop the flow of illegal guns at our border. We have purchased 4 YRP, helicopters and drones. And this week, our government announced more than doubling of funding of closed-circuit cameras designed to stop crime in its tracks. This includes upgraded license plate recognition technology that's designed to check plates against the province's list of stolen vehicles. Now, today, we are unveiling new actions to further bolster safety on the roads without stealth taxes that make life unaffordable for families and seniors in our province. Now, Mark Baxter is a frontline police officer. He actually spent 5 years as a former traffic cop. He has risen to lead as the president of the Police Association of Ontario. He knows better than anyone that we can keep families safe in this province. And so please welcome Mark Baxter to the podium today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister, and good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The Police Association of Ontario is dedicated to advocating for legislative reforms that put public safety at the forefront, while also addressing the day-to-day challenges faced by our members. Since 2023, the Police Association of Ontario has consistently pushed for a thorough review of automated speed enforcement cameras, highlighting the need for solutions that truly serve the public interest. That's why we are encouraged by the government's commitment to provide meaningful resources for safer roads, increased funding for proven traffic calming measures, such as improved road design, safer intersections, and enhanced community infrastructure, will help target speeding where it matters most. We also welcome the ongoing investment in public education campaigns. Education is vital for helping drivers grasp the true dangers of speeding and the devastating consequences it can have on families and communities. Education alone is not enough to ensure traffic safety. Trained police officers also play a critical role. Officers are able to exercise discretion, offer real-time education, and deliver accountability in ways that cameras simply cannot. A visible police presence not only deters dangerous driving, but also fosters trust between law enforcement and the community. Together with proactive policing, stronger traffic calming initiatives, and ongoing education, we can maintain and strengthen the safety of Ontario's roadways. These balanced, effective measures do more than save lives. They also reinforce public confidence in law enforcement. The Police Association of Ontario remains committed to supporting policies that protect our communities and uphold fairness, transparency, and trust. Thank you, and I will now turn it over to Mayor Vrbanovic, the Mayor of Kitchener.
Well, thank you very much, Mark, and good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, and let me begin by emphasizing I know that there's not a single elected official coming to this podium today, or for that matter, I believe in the province of Ontario, that doesn't have the safety and security of the residents they represent top of mind. I can also tell you that the residents we hear from also believe having safe communities and safe roadways is a major priority. But when it comes to automated speed enforcement, that's where folks go onto different pathways. People want traffic calming, people want infrastructure improvements like the ones behind me, people want speed enforcement but prefer it from a real live officer. From the mother coming home at 11:30 from shift work to the older adult who has been driving for more than 50 years and got their first ticket unknowingly, the list goes on. Residents largely didn't believe they were learning a lesson. They were just getting angry, losing their faith in government, and having dollars taken from their pocketbooks. As the Mayor of Kitchener, one of Ontario's biggest cities, I take the responsibility of the safety of our residents very seriously. That's why I, along with our Council, have wholeheartedly supported Kitchener's Vision Zero strategy, a long-term plan to reduce serious injuries and death due to traffic collisions to zero in our community. Through our Hotspot Improvement Program in Kitchener, we're using citywide data to understand where the greatest risks exist and understanding them through traffic calming, road reconstruction, and other measures like those being proposed today. It's making a real difference. It was also a big part of the reason why last year in October, the City of Kitchener Council decided not to be part of our region's ASC cameras on our city-owned roadways. We believe that our Vision Zero initiatives, built on a foundation of changing behaviour through road design and not punitive measures, has been the best tool to balance safety and affordability for our community. Premier and ministers, today's announcements are about listening to the residents that we all serve, so that together we can build safer cities and communities and a safer Ontario for everyone. And now I'd like to invite my friend and colleague, Mayor Alex Nuttall, from Barrie, the other Barrie, to the podium.
Well, I'd like to just say what Barrie said, because I think it was very effective, and I think it tells the story of what's happening inside of Ontario communities. The reality is today that we're standing before you because municipalities have lost the public trust on the issue of ASC cameras. But we are incredibly excited at the City of Barrie with the prospects of the province of Ontario providing new funding opportunities and making investments in our communities that will make a real difference on the ground. So I want to stand here and thank the Premier for your leadership and commitment to enhancing traffic calming measures in our cities. These are permanent, they help, they create the type of protection that families need, they save lives and ensure that our neighbourhoods remain safe, and they're safe places not only to live, but also to raise children and go to school. We look forward to continuing to work with the province to create community safety measures that reduce speeding, they improve safety, and they respect taxpayers. By working together, we will build safer and stronger municipalities and safer and stronger streets. The Premier's funding of traffic calming measures is a first, and one that will definitely save lives for decades to come. And for that, I know that myself and my council are incredibly thankful. At this point, I would like to introduce someone who needs no introduction, and it's a little strange to do it on his turf. But Mayor Del Duca, I'd like to hand it over to you, and welcome, sir.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today for this important announcement. Really honored that it's taking place here in the City of Vaughan in our Joint Operations Centre. I want to thank all of the City of Vaughan staff, many of whom are here, including our City Manager, Zoran Postic, and so many other women and men who work hard each and every day in our city to keep our residents safe and to maintain an exceptional quality of life for the people of this city. I also want to begin by thanking Premier Ford, of course, as Mayor Nuttall mentioned, for his leadership and for being back here in the City of Vaughan today to discuss this important topic, and I believe to provide clarity and certainty about the path forward for all 444 municipalities as it relates to protecting vulnerable road users and enhancing road safety for all. I do also want to thank Ministers Lecce and Sarkaria, and of course MPP Laura Smith and Minister Tobolo for the ongoing partnership and collaboration that we are blessed to have with the provincial government here in our city. I know that both Minister Lecce and Mayor Vrbanovic, and I want to thank both of the other mayors who are here today, two individuals I've known for many years, who I do get the pleasure to work with on a regular basis, and happily to have that chance. You've heard remarks already from several of the speakers about some of the issues that I briefly wanted to highlight. For those who don't know, we paused our speed camera program here in the City of Vaughan back on June the 4th, several months ago. And just a few days ago, we made the final decision as a council to end the program altogether. I want you to know that in the brief few weeks that the program was running here in the city of Vaughan, the outpouring of reaction that we received from our residents was nothing short of remarkable. And what I mean by that is that we heard very clearly from our residents two messages. One, as has been articulated already from the podium, we all want all road users to be kept safe at all times. But at the same time, as Mayor Vrbanovic mentioned, people on fixed incomes, pensioners, heading home to bingo on a Friday night at 11 o'clock, people who'd never gotten a speeding ticket in their entire driving lives, being dinged with not one, not two, but in some cases 6, 7, 8 tickets. I spoke to a father who works in the auto sector. We have a huge auto sector here in the city of Vaughan. Someone who is facing down the barrel of the economic anxiety that I know the Premier and his team are fighting so hard to combat as it relates to the ongoing disputes we have with the United States. This was an individual father, a father who was struggling to pay for the groceries and was nearly in tears because while he acknowledged that he was going a few, and I want to stress a few kilometers over the posted speed limit, he just didn't understand how he was going to make ends meet because of the program that we briefly had in place. These two examples really are just two of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories that were shared with me in a few short weeks back in the spring. And that's why our council made the decision to first, as I said, suspend the program and more recently cancel the program in favor of other measures that we know will help keep all road users safe, while at the same time not increasing the anxiety, the fear, and the concern that our residents have. And I also want to briefly touch upon something Minister Lecce said. Many of you will have seen me in media the last few days, since really the Labor Day weekend, when here in the city of Vaughan, a community that I've been proud to live in for close to 40 years, a community that's always been safe, a community where we have a great relationship with York Regional Police, who do a phenomenal job to keep all of our residents safe. These past few weeks have been really, really tough on my residents. A gentleman on Labor Day weekend who was gunned down in front of his kids because of a home invasion. We've seen homes shot at. We've seen stores broken into. We've seen more proliferation of what I will call real crime, with real criminals perpetrating that crime and victimizing too many of my residents these last few weeks than I ever thought would be possible. The other message that my residents have conveyed to me, which I will convey to you, and I've explained this to the Premier and he knows it instinctively, the people of this city, and I suspect the people of Ontario, want us to focus on what I will call the real criminals. They don't want us to be playing dinging them, as I mentioned a moment ago. They acknowledge occasionally going a few kilometers over. But when someone gets killed in front of their own kids, when someone has their home in a quiet residential street shot at, in one case more than once, when York Regional Police do their job, but our bail system and our criminal justice system is letting everyone down, to equate the two, speed cameras, with going after the real criminals, it's not even a close fight. My job as mayor, one of my most important obligations is to keep the people of Vaughan safe. It's something that I will turn over every stone to make happen. It's something I know I can rely on Premier Ford and his team to keep pushing for, and I sincerely hope, as I've said many times, that our federal partners come to the table today with real legislation that will help us tackle this serious issue. In the meantime, all of the measures that the province is willing to work with municipalities on to keep all road users safe, these are measures that we here in the City of Vaughan embrace. Our Public Works team, which is second to none, will continue to do everything possible with Council's support to make the right decisions going forward. And I just want to finish by once again thanking Premier Ford and his ministers and his government for helping us move forward with certainty and move forward in the right direction. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll turn things over to the Minister of Transportation, the Honourable Prabmeet Sarkaria.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mayor Del Duca, for those inspiring words. A true champion for the City of Vaughan, and someone who has really shown incredible leadership, not only on this program, but supporting the fight for public safety across the province. It's great to be in here in Vaughan, here with Premier Ford, Minister Lecce, Minister Tabolo, PA Greywall, PA Smith, Mayors Vrbanovic, Nuttall, Del Duca, and of course, Mark Baxter. Thank you for all of your support and for being here today. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, our government is investing nearly $100 billion over the next decade in highways, roads, public transit, the largest expansion in Ontario's history. This includes $30 billion to build, repair, and expand highways, roads, bridges across the province, including right here in Vaughan. We're also working every day to keep costs down for drivers. That starts with saving Ontario families $66 million over the next 5 years by making the freeze on license and photo card fees permanent. And while we're focused on making life easier for Ontario drivers, we're also making our roads safer. That's why we've strengthened numerous pieces of legislation on road safety, whether it was the Moving Ontarians More Safely Act, which increased penalties for street racing, stunt driving, and other dangerous behavior, and through our Safer Roads and Communities Act, which introduced lifetime license suspensions for those convicted of impaired driving causing death. In the moments ahead, our government will continue to act on strengthening road safety while standing up for taxpayers to ensure they keep more of their hard-earned money. With that said, I would now like to turn it over to Premier Ford. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and it's great to be back in Vaughan alongside Minister Sarkaria and Lecce and Tabolo, as well as PAs Grewal and Smith. Mayor Vrbanovic, that's why I always call him Mayor Bear, from Kitchener, and Mayor Nuttall from Barrie, Mayor Del Duca, and Mark Baxter from the Police Association of Ontario. I want to thank Mayor Del Duca in particular for having us here today and for being an absolute champion for taxpayers and drivers in Vaughan. Our government is delivering on our plan to protect Ontario. That plan includes important infrastructure investments that will fight gridlock, get people moving, and keep workers on the job. Here in York Region, we're building Highway 413 and the Bradford Bypass, as well as the Yonge North subway extension, and we're upgrading and improving GO train service across the region. We're also making it easier and less expensive for drivers and commuters to get around. From the very beginning, our government has been focused on lowering cost and making life more affordable for families. That's why we took tolls off Highway 412, Highway 418, and the 407 East. We also banned all new road tolls, got rid of the previous Liberal government's cap-and-trade carbon tax, and fought the federal Liberal carbon tax until it was removed. We cut the gas tax permanently, axed the Drive Clean program, gave taxpayers across the province a $200 rebate, and eliminated the $120 renewal fees for license plate stickers. For transit users, our One Fare program is saving riders $1,600 per year. We're doing all this because in the face of tariffs and economic uncertainty, governments need to be putting more money back into people's pockets to help make their lives more affordable. But unfortunately, too many governments are doing the opposite. They're increasing taxes and taking more money out of people's pockets. Over the last few years, we've seen municipalities across the province use municipal speed cameras as nothing more than a cash grab. Drivers across the province have received tickets for going just a few kilometers over the speed limit. And the worst part is, people who are issued a ticket don't know how to fight it or make their case. As municipalities have seen how easy it is to make a quick buck by installing new speed cameras, more and more cameras have been set up across Ontario. Today, just 37 of Ontario's 444 municipalities still support speed cameras because of the problems that we've all seen firsthand. So just put that into perspective, folks. There's 37 that want to gouge the taxpayers, and there's 407 that believe they don't need speed cameras, and there's alternative ways of slowing down traffic. In Toronto, a single speed camera produced, now hear this again, a single speed camera produced more than 65,000 tickets and charged drivers nearly $7 million. In Waterloo Region, municipal speed cameras issued close to 55,000 tickets in the first 6 months of the program. And here in Vaughan, municipal speed cameras hit drivers with more than 30,000 tickets in just 3 weeks before Mayor Del Duca showed true leadership, stepped in, and put a stop to it. I want to thank Mayor Vrbanovic for, I'm going to get this down pat, Vrbanovic, okay, for fighting against speed cameras in his city. I want to acknowledge Mayor Nuttall for his efforts to take out speed cameras in Barrie. And Mayor Lovett from Stouffville gave me a call and told me he's taking them out and putting it in front of council this week, along with all the other councils and mayors of the 407 municipalities that do not have speed cameras. These mayors are standing up for the taxpayers, and I'm grateful for their leadership, because enough is enough. In a few weeks, our government will introduce legislation to ban speed cameras in Ontario, to protect taxpayers and drivers and stop them from being gouged. Instead of punishing people retroactively with speeding tickets days or weeks after the fact, we're supporting practical, proactive traffic calming measures that stop people from speeding in the first place. That's the best way to protect taxpayers and protect our streets and communities. To help make the switch, we're launching a new fund for affected municipalities to install road safety measures that work. In the near term, later this fall, we will support the installation of large new signs, like you see behind us, in school zones where speed cameras have been shut off. We will have permanent signs in place, along with other traffic calming measures that really slow people down. This includes new flashing signs, like the ones behind us right here today, that will slow down drivers in school zones and protect students. It also includes speed bumps, roundabouts, raised crosswalks, curb extensions, and other types of enforcement that will keep communities safe without squeezing more money out of the taxpayers. For 25 years, Ontario has ranked among the top 5 jurisdictions in all of North America for road safety. We're going to keep investing in our roads and infrastructure, and we're going to keep lowering costs for taxpayers while protecting our streets and communities. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario.
We will now open the floor for questions from media. Media can stand behind me and line up at the microphone. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. Please state your name and outlet before your question. First question.
Hi, Premier. Tina Yazdani with City News.
Hi.
Premier, I want to talk about the timing of this. Why now? Because you're making this announcement after dozens of these cameras were vandalized across Toronto. So are you placating the vandals?
Not at all. I'd never condone any vandalism of any sort. This is nothing more than a tax grab, and we've seen it. If you really want to slow down traffic, you use other methodologies, and I just named quite a few there, including the signs. Because, as we can see, it's not slowing people down. When you're issuing 65,000 tickets in 3 months, that's not slowing people down. But if we put other methodologies, be it speed bumps or signs, and by the way, where I live in Etobicoke, they're all over the place. And guess how big the sign is? About 10 feet before the speed sign is about that big. And you go along and people are fed up. They're tired of getting tickets for 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers over. That no officer that I have ever met, and Mark can speak on this, no officer would ever give you a ticket for 5 or 6 kilometers over. Matter of fact, you'd never get pulled over if you're going 5 or 6 kilometers over. So the real methodology of slowing people down is making sure that they slow down and they don't zip through and all of a sudden get a ticket a week later or 3 weeks later. And then there's been, by the way, there's been hundreds of thousands of these tickets. So obviously their system, the speed cameras do not work. Again, I want to thank the 407 municipalities that do not believe these cameras work. They believe in other areas of calming traffic. I've walked a mile in the shoes of councillors and municipalities. I can tell you, I know how to slow people down.
Premier, none of the measures that you've announced today are new. These have existed for decades. So why do you think they'll make a difference now? And will you reconsider the speed cameras, at least around school zones where they've been proven to work?
Because they've never used them. You're saying they've used them. I could bring you around town and show you that there's nothing. You're coming off my favorite one is you're coming off the QEW 427 at Martin Grove and Eglinton. That one has been taken down 3 or 4 times. And you're going at a fair click if you hit the green light, and all of a sudden, bang, there's no warnings, there's no nothing. And then, by the way, it's not even close to the school. So they're putting them in places and abusing the taxpayers. This is nothing more than a tax grab. They need the money. I've had mayors call me up, and the honest ones, and there's all the mayors are honest as far as I'm concerned, but the real honest ones told me, you're right, Doug, this is a tax grab. We need the money for roads. We need the money for this. Okay, well, just be honest with the taxpayers, but don't gouge them.
Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Hi,
in the budget, you had talked about wanting to make sure that there was proper signage, looking at ways to get the speed camera program sort of under control. Why have you gone from, okay, let's look at better signage, more communication, to just outlawing them entirely?
Because enough's enough. We know what this is all about. If you really want to slow people down, speed cameras do not slow people down. Now, who it slows down are the people in the community that knows where the speed cameras are, but the thousands and thousands of other cars that go through, they don't slow down. We want to make sure that we put in certain areas, certain measures that will calm the traffic down. Because I'll tell you, if you don't know where that speed camera is, you're zipping by. But if you have a speed bump, you aren't zipping by at all. Or if you have a roundabout, you aren't zipping by. And the warning with the flashing signs coming at you, you know to slow down.
You talked about this infrastructure that can slow people down, including things like roundabouts, speed bumps. Those are going to be disruptive to communities, are they not? And slow down traffic further, and something that I think that your government's been trying to avoid is making it harder for people to get where they're going.
Absolutely not. In front of schools, people want to slow people down, we'll slow them down. You're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth to be respectful to you. You're saying, you know, don't slow them down, slow them down. So it's one or another. I want to slow them down. I want to make sure that we have safe streets. I want to make sure we put the measures in to actually slow people down, no matter if you live in the community or you're just driving through the community. That's what we need to do to make sure that we continue protecting areas like school zones.
Hey, good morning, Premier. Colin DeMello from Global News.
Hi,
it was back in 2017 that the legislation that allowed for speed cameras was first passed by the Wynne government with former Minister Steven Del Duca right there. In 2019, it was your government that introduced the regulations that allowed for the speed cameras. Your transportation minister at the time, Caroline Mulroney, defended the speed cameras. Why did your government decide in 2019 to allow speed cameras in the first place?
Well, let's look what's happened now. It's out of control. This is nothing more than a tax grab, taking millions and tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars out of the taxpayers' pockets. It's out of control right now, and things have changed. So we're going to move forward, and we're going to continue making sure the school zones are safe by putting in other measures to actually slow people down. Because we know with the amount of tickets that they're issuing, it's not slowing people down. Or they wouldn't have 65,000 tickets in 3 months.
To switch topics quickly from slowing down to speeding up, it's been about a year since the 401 tunnel was first announced. Yes. You said that you were going to fast-track the feasibility study to determine how much that 401 tunnel could cost. People have said it could be in the tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions, but you haven't yet, to the best of our knowledge, awarded the contract to actually start that feasibility study. Yep. Can you tell us what the delay is? What's the slowdown?
Well, first of all, congestion is costing us $58 billion of lost productivity every single year. Again, I'm going to say $58 billion from the Toronto Board of Trade has released their study, and that's terrible for the economy. It's terrible for our GDP. But on the other note, I'm going to pass it over to Minister Sarkaria, and he'll tell you exactly where we're at, and we are moving quick on that.
Thank you, Premier. We continue to engage with the market on and engineers on this very important project. We have the RFP that closed on the feasibility study, so we're very close to continue to making progress. Don't forget, we also held market soundings on the Ontario 401 tunnel with the Premier and industry leaders to see how we can proceed forward and ensure that the project works. So we have been dedicating not only internal resources at the MTO, going to the market, listening to those across the world, held meetings with respect to tunneling projects that have happened across the world, and that is continuing to make progress with respect to this project and close to $100 billion that we're investing, whether it be in highways or public transit. So we're fully committed and we're working as fast as we can, and we've got tools through legislation to ensure that we can speed this project up, limit the time it will take to get a shovel in the ground, and that's how we look forward to proceeding. Thank you.
Morning, Premier. Liam Casey with the Canadian Press.
Hi, Liam.
I know you have great respect for both police chiefs and Sick Kids Hospital.
Yes.
Both of them have come out and said speed cameras do work. Just wondering if it gives you any pause to argue against those two groups.
Not at all. I have a great deal of respect for Sick Kids, world class, #1 in the world. And as for the police chiefs, as I said the other day, I go to the doctor, he takes one look at me and says, you need to go on a diet. They're doing their job, right? They want to make sure that people drive the speed limit. And speed cameras, just to emphasize again, they aren't working. They should be doing a study, in my opinion, on once we install the signs behind us, once we install turnabouts, that's what slows it down. Folks, this is black and white. It's about as clear as day. You know, traffic calming measures slow people down. Speed cameras don't slow people down. Or they'd have 0 tickets if they slowed them down. Instead, we're seeing hundreds of thousands of tickets. That's the proof. Proof in the pudding right there.
You said last week you spoke to the chiefs of police. I'm wondering if you told them about this plan and what they said about this plan to get rid of speed cameras or replace it with signs and lights.
Well, I spoke to one of the chiefs that put the letter out, which I have a great deal of respect for, in Strathroy. But isn't it ironic? When I asked that chief, do you have speed cameras? He said, no, we don't have them. But he does. He uses them to measure. So now we're going to support all areas that are putting these speed cameras in to take them out, and we're going to slow traffic down. It's as simple as that.
Hi, Premier, and everyone else here today. I'm Charlie Pinkerton from the Trillium. Yep. Bear with me for a second, Premier. I'm just going to try to squeeze 2 topics in this first question. The first is, in the spirit of saving people money, will your government be doing anything to forgive the tickets that people have gotten from these cameras, or to reimburse people at all? And then on a different topic, should Chris Scott resign as being an MPP?
Well, on the first part, that's up to the municipalities. They're going to decide. As for Chris Scott, we'll let that investigation go forward, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, and then there's an audit coming out next week about the Skills Development Fund. Ahead of that, I'm just wondering how much you and your office were involved in choosing specific recipients for that grant program.
Well, the SDF, Skills Development Fund, is one of the most successful programs that we've ever launched in government. It has actually given 700,000 people the tools that they need to have a career, and a career that they'll have for the rest of their lives. Once you have a skill, you can go anywhere in the province, you can go anywhere in the country, you can go anywhere in the world, because we invested in jobs of the future, training people. No matter if it's trade skills or if it's healthcare or many other areas, tech sectors, and that's what we need to do, make sure we train people for jobs of the future.
Premier Richard Southern, 680 News Radio. It sounds like the issue you have with the cameras, and indeed some drivers have, is that they're getting ticketed when only going a few kilometers over the posted speed limit. My question is, why don't you change it or mandate it so that that doesn't happen, but those egregiously speeding do get ticketed, since there is studies that show the cameras are effective?
So I have an idea. Why don't we be proactive instead of reactive? Why do we have to charge people? Why don't we actually slow them down, Richard, rather than let them speed through a speed camera?
On another matter, Premier, the union representing workers at the beer store recently said that about 130 full-time jobs have gone as many beer stores close, and they're worried that number will be in the thousands next year as more beer stores close. My question is, do you feel any responsibility for those beer store workers that have lost their job, Premier?
Well, we put a tremendous amount of money for retraining programs for the people that work at the beer store. On the flip side, the thousands and thousands of people that are working in retail now that weren't working in retail, because we've actually put beer and wine in retail stores and creating more opportunities for people to be hired.
Hi there, Reggie Miller with the Toronto Star. Premier, there's been lots of sunk costs, man hours, and potentially penalties coming from the contracts when you know, with the vendors and processing. Is there any plans to give any money to make the communities that have to get rid of the speed cameras whole and for those costs?
Well, let's be very, very clear. They have deals worked out with U.S. and Canadian manufacturers of speed cameras. The deal goes this way, folks. They install it, they pay for everything, they pay for the technology, the cameras and everything, and they get a slice of the pie. And there's all sorts of different deals. That's one deal. And the other deal is, well, you'll pay us back through the money you get for speed cameras. But do you know what I find ironic? The people and the mayors I've asked, the money you've collected, how much have you put into road safety? How much have you put into calming traffic? Not $1 has gone into that. Where's the money? It's going into the general coffers. That's what this is all about, folks. This is all about money. This is all about a cash grab off taxpayers. Nothing more, nothing less. We want, and as I've told mayors that have it, if you really want to calm traffic, and I don't want to be insulting, I've told them those exact words, I don't want to insult you, but I will come over. I will stand at an area that you want to calm the traffic, and I'll show you how to calm the traffic instantly. It's not that they don't know how to do it, they don't want to do it because it's a cash grab right out of the taxpayers' pockets. So we want to make sure we have safe areas, continue to be the top 5 in North America on road safety. We're going to continue doing that. And we're going to build the infrastructure to actually slow people down.
There's a lot of people in a lot of communities that are in favor of speed cameras. Are you expecting any resistance, something like perhaps a court challenge, like the bike lane issue in Toronto?
Well, again, that's up to the municipalities. Judges should not interfere on bike lanes. They've stepped over, that one judge stepped way over the line, and other judges know he stepped over the line, but we'll deal with that in the Court of Appeal. But this is not the area that judges should be interfering in. This falls under the province of Ontario. Municipalities are a creature of the province. And there's 407 out of 444 that think this is a terrible idea to put speed cameras in. Just think of that. You look at the odds. 37 thinks it's great to gouge the taxpayers, and 407 are smart enough to say, we're going to use other methods of slowing down traffic. I'm betting on the 407.
Hey, Premier. Barbara with QP Briefing. How are you?
Good. How are you?
So the falling housing starts and sales is projected to cost tens of thousands of jobs. If the automotive or steel sectors got hit with that kind of job loss, there would be a bailout package from the province, but there is no coverage yet for the home building sector. I'm wondering if you would be open to do the same thing for home building?
For home building?
Yes.
Well,
job losses.
I'll tell you how we start home building. First of all, the Prime Minister has to drop the HST. We'll follow. We'll follow suit for new homes that are being built. Other areas have to take the leadership, like Mayor Del Duca, and reduce the cost of development charges. So all the fees and everything can range anywhere from 30 to 40% of the cost of the home. So just imagine if you bought a home for $1 million or a condo. You can't find a home for $1 million nowadays in GTHA, but even a condo, all of a sudden it's $300,000 less expensive. We need the Bank of Canada to drop the interest rates again. A quarter point doesn't cut it. let's hit 2% and I'll stop going after the Bank of Canada. These are three simple things that would stir home building. We put in $3 billion of infrastructure to expedite home building. We need to speed up the approvals in a lot of cities. You know, the mayors here, they're fantastic. When people come to me, oh, can I build here? The three mayors get things going. But do you know how hard it is to get a permit sometimes? It goes on the carousel and goes around and around and around. And guess what happens? It costs more money and more money and more money. And guess who pays for it? The people that are buying the homes. So those are 4 or 5 things that can speed up home building and put money back into people's pocket and create jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs. And it goes back to, as we move forward with this, and we're going to get out of it because it's a cycle, and the uncertainty with Donald Trump was a big factor. But just imagine if we didn't have the Skills Development Fund and all of a sudden things start speeding up and we don't have skilled people. Well, we're thinking, again, proactively, thinking years down the road that we're going to have a thriving and booming housing sector, hopefully sooner than later.
On a different topic, recently the federal government announced some changes on how the provinces will be able to use the notwithstanding clause. You used it in the past and you said you were open to use it again in the future, even regarding the encampments. So I'm just wondering what you think of that and whether this interferes in any future plans you might have.
That is way overreach. It's way overreach with the courts. You know something? Again, Parliament, federal Parliament, provincial Parliament, they're supreme because meaning people are supreme, not judges ruling on stuff that shouldn't even be in front of the courts. Again, another area of overreach by the courts and the federal government. I got an idea. Why doesn't the minister actually go forward and start focusing on bail reform? Why doesn't he start focusing on mandatory sentencing? Why doesn't he focus on Young Offenders Act? There's not one person I've talked to that has said, we want to give the judges, more politically appointed judges, more authority. I haven't heard one person. But he's so bent on going up there, he messed up the immigration, he's messed up housing, now they put him in as Attorney General. He needs to focus on what counts for the people. Come up to York and ask anyone in York, should we give our federal judges more power, or should we focus on crime? Should we focus on bail reform? Should we focus on Young Offenders Act, that these young kids, 14 years old, right here in York, are running around with guns? Ask the people that. I guarantee you won't have one person say, let's give judges more power and reduce the democracy that people elect people to make decisions. So yeah, and by the way, let me tell you something, it's not just this premier. It's premiers across the country are on fire. This is the worst decision Prime Minister Carney has ever done, and it will be an absolute disaster. And I don't believe it's going to go through. It just takes Quebec and Ontario to block it. You need 2/3 of the premiers and 50% of the population. So why is he wasting his time? He should get back to work and focus on what areas really, really matter.
This will be the last reporter.
Hi there, Lorenda Redicop with CBC News.
Hi, Lorenda.
Hi. So the money for the roundabouts, speed bumps, these huge signs, potentially having to hire more police officers specifically to catch speeders, where's the money going to come from and how much is this going to cost?
Well, we're going to evaluate it right across the board and find out how many areas and what areas the cities want to put them in, and we'll be there. We'll be there to support them. But what I want to do too, I want to ask them, where's all the money from the fines? What have you done with it? I don't see any road safety measures. What have you done? I know what they've done. They put it in the general coffers. And that's it. And when I talk to some people, oh, well, it's not in this budget. We're going to save it for 2026. If it's so important, why are you putting it in? It's nothing more than a tax grab. Simple as that. You know something? They can't fool the people. They can't fool us. And the people know. It's absolutely terrible. I talked to one mayor, And I said, our polling shows 80% of the drivers don't want speed cameras. He said, no, 90% don't want speed cameras. Thank you.
Follow up about marine land. A couple of my colleagues recently did a story. You know, the park is closed, but there are these 30 belugas still there, and marine land wants to be able to export them. If the federal government doesn't approve that, exporting the whales, what is the province going to do with them?
Well, first of all, you know, they have a responsibility to take care of these whales. They need to make sure that they're healthy. And we do inspections, by the way, at marine land, but they need to take care of these whales. It's unfortunate. You know, imagine me driving. I feel sorry for these whales. You get 30 in what, 1 acre? And you're shoving all these poor whales in there? It's a very difficult situation. If we could find beautiful homes for them and if the federal government approves it, give them a beautiful, nice home. But it's just terrible over there. Really, heart breaks for these poor whales. Man, they're captive. And it's unfortunate. The two owners passed away. Left it in trust with a lawyer, and this is my guess. I'm not too sure, but eventually the money's going to run out because it's costing $1 million. So I'm hearing $1 million a month to feed these whales. But we'll do whatever it takes to make sure we give them the best life possible.
This concludes the questions for today.
Okay, thank you so much, folks. Again, we're putting money back in your pockets, and we're going to make the streets a lot safer because we're investing in the proper infrastructure that will make your community safer. Thank you so much, and God bless.